Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. Today's video will be discussing the upcoming FC Barcelona Paris Saint-Germain game, but focusing more on the injuries and everything side of this game. On Tuesday, we'll have a proper preview of the game, prediction, lineup, and everything. But today's video, I want to talk. This is called the Battle of the Injuries. That's what this game will be called. That is what this game will be remembered, because I can't remember a tie in the UEFA Champions League where both teams were missing so many key players ahead of a game. Both teams. FC Barcelona are currently set to play versus Real Sociedad as well. And who knows? This game is cursed. Maybe something else happens. I hope nothing happens. I hope no one gets injured. But looking at a pattern, maybe somebody gets injured. So we'll first take a look at Paris Saint-Germain before going to Barca. And obviously there are a lot of questions. Will the players be fit? What will the lineup look like and everything? And we'll look at all of that in today's video. For Paris Saint-Germain, obviously goalkeepers, everyone's fit. Hakim is fit. Marquinhos, he's 100% out. He's out for, 3 to 4 weeks potentially. So it will be Ilya Zabarny taking his spot in the right centre-back position. Pacho is good. Nuno Mendes is good. All right, this is a complete lie here from FootMob. This is a few weeks for Fabian Ruiz, which is a complete lie. Fabian Ruiz, even for the weekend's game we played yesterday, Fabian Ruiz could have been part of the squad. But because of precaution and he has some muscle stuff, we let him not be in the squad so we can get some extra rest. He was watching from the stands the game with Ousmane Dembélé. So Fabian Ruiz will start the game versus FC Barcelona. That's quite clear. Vitinha as well, it was only precautionary. A lot of people talked about Vitinha going off yesterday. Vitinha is calm. He will be starting the FC Barcelona game. That's nothing to worry about. João Neves, early October. Yeah, João Neves is going to be back as well, and he should be starting the game versus FC Barcelona. Once again, we gave them a little bit of extra rest. So João Neves, he will be back for the Paris Saint-Germain game. Desiree Doué, 100% out. We were trying to aim for Desiree Doué to come back for the Barca game. I don't see it happening. We're not going to rush him. We don't want to get any relapses when it comes to Desiree Doué. He's obviously suffered an injury a while back ago, which he's still suffering from, and he hasn't fully recovered from. And he's the only, obviously Ousmane Dembélé, 100% out. Definitely the biggest miss from both ties. Dembélé, Ballon d'Or, facing his former team. We would have loved to have Ousmane Dembélé in that game. I would say is the only one that has a little bit of a question mark in front of him, but he's been playing other games. He played the last game. He played versus Marseille despite being injured. And he still played. So I think Khvicha Kvaratskhelia will play, just won't be at 100% fitness. Then we'll take a look at FC Barcelona. Let me see. Ter Stegen, yeah, he's fully out, but he's cooked. Juan Garcia is obviously going to miss the game 100%. There's even some uncertainty regarding the El Clásico, but Juan Garcia will not be there for the Paris Saint-Germain game. Balde, who's been injured, will be back for the game. I think he's potentially in the squad back for Sociedad. Let me take a look. So he's not starting the game versus Sociedad. Is Yamal starting? Yamal is not starting either. But I'm very sure Yamal is back into the squad. Yeah, Yamal is back into the squad versus Sociedad. But Balde is not. What that tells me, Balde is not going to be fit. Balde should be back in the squad for the Barca Paris Saint-Germain game. But honestly, I don't see him starting. I don't see Flick starting him in a big game immediately after coming back. So it will be Gerard Martin as the left back for FC Barcelona in the game against us. I saw Casado picked up something, but it isn't that much. I don't think he would have started. The double pivot will obviously be Pedri and Frenkie de Jong. Gavi, he's fully out for the game. Fermi Lopez, fully out for the game. Dani Olmo will take their spot. Rafinha is obviously also fully out for the game. So Barcelona missing Rafinha from the starting 11. Alejandro Balde from the starting 11. Juan Garcia from the starting 11. That's it. You could maybe say Fermin because he's been a little bit better form than Dani Olmo. But apart from that, it's Rafinha out, starting left winger. Balde out, starting left back. And Juan Garcia out, starting goalkeeper. And for Paris Saint-Germain, Ousmane Dembélé is out, starting striker. Desiree Doué is out, starting right winger. And Marquinhos is out, starting right centre-back. And when you look at who's coming in instead, Szczesny was good for Barca last season, but They will rush him into a big game like this. And, with goalkeepers, it's a little bit different. You need that game rhythm. That's why you don't rotate the goalkeeper that much. But that's why you have a backup keeper to come into situations like this. Gerard Martin would play instead of Balde. We've seen Gerard Martin, versus Inter Milan last season in the UCL and everything. And then obviously Rafinha's out, but Rashford, who's in very good form, will come in instead of him. He's had a GA in his last 4 games. So even from Barcelona's standpoint, the players that are missing, Rafinha replaced well enough by Rashford. These midfielders, I don't think they would have started. Alejandro Balde, Gerard Martin, he's played good. He could get cooked. He could get destroyed. He could get absolutely ruined. But he's been a solid left back for Barca. So I don't think it's that big of a miss. And then last balón is Juan Garcia, who's been exceptional for Barca this season. Szczesny, it's a little bit of a question mark. How good will he be in the game? So that's, I think, the biggest miss when it comes to Barca. Even though Rafinha is so good, Rafinha is also a big miss. When it comes to Paris Saint-Germain, obviously Ousmane Dembélé is a huge miss. Absolute huge miss, especially in a big game like this. The Zidane has not been in good form ever since the UCL final. And then Marquinhos obviously bought Ilya Zabarny in the summer, so it's basically it don't matter. It don't matter that much that Marquinhos is out. So honestly, Paris Saint-Germain has better squad depth than FC Barcelona, and Paris Saint-Germain, obviously Dembouz is a big injury, but squad-wise, Paris Saint-Germain are going stronger into this game. And I'm confident. I'm confident for this game. Despite all of this, it's made the situation really weird. It's made it very hard discussing about the game. It's made it very hard predicting what's going to happen in the game with all of these players missing and so on. But I'm very confident that despite all of these injuries, Paris Saint-Germain will go to the Montjuic, where the game will be played, and prevail in that game. FC Barcelona, though, they have a very strong case, obviously, of doing something in this game. They'll be there with all of their best players, especially in attack. That's the main difference. For Paris Saint-Germain, the goalkeeper, the defense, the midfield is top-notch. The attack is the question mark, where a lot of the big players are missing or not 100% fit. Barca is a little bit everywhere. It's the goalkeeper, it's the left back, and then obviously Rafinha. So when it comes to the injuries, I think Barca coming in squad-wise with the injuries a little bit weaker. I think Paris Saint-Germain, just best team versus best team, is better than Barca. But I even think Barca is a little bit more minus because I think the injuries will impact them more. Obviously, when it comes to Paris Saint-Germain, Dembélé is a big miss because he's our big game goal scorer. He's the clinical one. He's the one I would have predicted to score a goal in this game. But with him missing, other players will need to step up. It's that simple. I'm looking at Bradley Barcola. I'm looking at Khvichek Kvaratskhelia. But I'm looking at our fullback. I'm looking at our midfield. I actually saw a stat today. PSG have scored like 18 goals this season or something. Half of them, 9 out of those goals came from midfielders, João Neves hat-trick, and defenders, like Beraldun Zabarny scored for us last game. So Paris Saint-Germain will need to score from a variety of positions, which is something Paris Saint-Germain are actually good at. I remember, and this will actually be good even for like making a point about Rafinha. If you take a look at Barca, for example, take a look at Barca last season, strictly in the Champions League. Let's take a look at GA. And then we'll have, obviously, Paris Saint-Germain to compare to. And this is what, once again, makes me more confident and more comfortable for this game. Is Paris Saint-Germain, it's like we're ready for a situation like this. Don't want to update. So, PSG Champions League last season. How many players had 4 or more? Gonçalo Ramos, 4. Vitinha, 4. Khvichek Kvaratskhelia, 5. Fabian Ruiz 5, Nuno Mendes 5, Bradley Barcola 7, Desiree Doué 8, Achraf Hakimi 9, and Dembele 14. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players with 4 GA or more. But when you take a look at Barca, some reason this does not want to open up. I want to see the Champions League. Maybe we'll have to look at here. Look at Barca stats, Champions League. All right, we'll just do this instead then on FootMob. Shout out to FootMob. GA. How many players do we think have 4 or more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Barca are way more reliant than their front 3 than Paris Saint-Germain. So for example, if Barca were in a situation like us where they were missing Ousmane Dembélé, Desiri do it. So if they were missing Lamine Yamal and Rafinha, basically the equivalent you could say of it, Barca would have more problems than PSG. But PSG are now, we're relying, especially on them boys in big games, but we can get GA, we can get goals, we can get assists from the entire team. Barca, as we can clearly see, if it's not Rafinha, Lewandowski or Lamine Yamal involved in the goals, I don't know who it's gonna be. I don't know. Fermin is injured as well. Ferran Torres, but he's not going to start the game. So there's going to be a lot of reliance on Lamine Yamal. And I've said this multiple times about Robert Lewandowski. I don't think he will be as strong as last season. I think he'll be weaker. Obviously, this season it's a bit hard rating Lewandowski. Came back with an injury. Hasn't started that many games. So you got to take it a little bit easy on him. But it's heavy reliance on their attack. And as you can see, number one for Barca when it comes to goals, when it comes to assists, the danger man for them is Rafinha. And I think he will be a huge miss. Like Rafinha could potentially be a bigger miss than Ousmane Dembele in the sense of GA. I'm not saying that Dembele doesn't get GA. It's the reliance. We can get, if you look at PSG, we can get Hakimi could score a goal. I can see that happen. Barcola can score a goal. I can see that happen. Nuno Mendes, I don't know about Nuno because he will be more conservative this game, focusing on Lamine Yamal. Fabio Ruiz could get a goal. Khvisha could get a goal. Vitinha could get a goal. Gonçalo Ramos is more off the bench. And we know João Neves is dangerous. We know Sini Mayulu could start as the false nine potentially in the game. He could be dangerous. So when it comes to the injuries, now looking at it, now that all the games have finished, now that we only have the Barcelona game to look at, it's not the worst position to be in as a Paris Saint-Germain fan. I do genuinely think Barca are in a little bit of a worse situation, but obviously as a Barca fan, you should still be confident. You still have a lot of strong players, and this will be a game for, Lamine Yamal, because I think last season, obviously Yamal got a little bit overrated, his season overall, and just his impact in big games. Will he have another 20 irrelevant dribbles, or will he actually be impactful? Will he lead Barca? As a lot of people say, oh, Yamal led Barca versus Inter. Yeah, he led them to a knockout exit from the Champions League. That's not leading. Rafinha was leading Barca in the group stage. There's a difference between having the ball and getting GA. Lamine Yamal had a lot of the ball and created many threats, but it didn't lead to anything impactful in terms of GA. He only had one goal across 210 minutes. So this will be an absolute huge game. But obviously the valuable excuse Yamal has, he's been out for a while. He will only pick up a couple of minutes today versus Sociedad. So he will be a little bit rusty. But no, Yamal, he loves to turn it off for the big game. So Barca is going to be another Inter tie. Heavy Yamal reliance, and obviously Pedri dictating the game from deep. That's it. Obviously Rashford, he is the wild card for Barca. He's been in very good form. We know about Rashford against PSG, that story. So Rashford is going to have another huge game. So it's on Yamal and Rashford. I'm not putting that expectation on Leva. He really isn't that kind of a player. It depends on the players around him, how they perform. And then he hasn't been, superb as he was last season for Barca. And then obviously when it comes to the midfield, they're probably going to play Pedri, De Jong, Olmo. And Paris Saint-Germain have the best midfield in the world. It would be very big for Barcelona midfield to have that possession, to keep the ball and control the game. Do not let Paris Saint-Germain control the game. And that's what makes me even more confident about Paris Saint-Germain as well. Because I'm predicting, and I genuinely hope Gonçalo Ramos does not start the game and we play Sini Mayulu as the false nine. Because if we play Sini Mayulu as the false nine, we basically play a four-man midfield versus Barcelona, which will make us dictate, control the game even more and better. We saw it versus Atalanta, and yes, Barca is a different team from Atalanta, but we know Paris Saint-Germain, the level that we can play at. The game is going to play in Montjuic. It's a home game for Barca, but honestly, as a Paris Saint-Germain supporter, when you look at the recent times, that's not been a problem for us. Even in Luis Enrique's first season, we went away to Sociedad, had our best game of the Champions League that season. We went away to Montjuic versus Barca. We got the win. We went away versus Dortmund. Yes, we lost that game. Then season after, we went to Anfield, kept a clean sheet for 120 minutes, won that game. Went to Emirates, kept a clean sheet. And I think that's going to be Paris Saint-Germain going into this game. We're trying to control the game, control the ball, and be very good defensively. Not concede that many big chances. Not at all. It has to be some individual brilliance from Yamal or Rashford for them to score against us. And that's one thing about Paris Saint-Germain. Not a lot of people mention how good we are defensively. Last season, if you look at the Champions League stats, it looks a bit worse because of the bad defensive slump we had in the beginning of the season. But Paris Saint-Germain are really great defensively. And we will make it as tough for Barca to create any possible chance. Barca also not the best on set pieces. That's an area Paris Saint-Germain always have to be 100% focused in, but Barca won't even give us that threat. Barca's biggest threat will be from the counter-attack, but I think Paris Saint-Germain will be a little bit deeper and not leave too much space in behind. And we also have Nuno Mendes. There's no better player to have 1v1 versus Yamal than Nuno Mendes. That doesn't mean Yamal won't be able to cook him maybe once, twice, 3 times. I'm predicting if he attempts 8 dribbles, let's say, Nuno Mendes will win 5 out of them, and Yamal could win 3 of them. So I think Paris Saint-Germain, honestly, I'm getting more confident minute by minute, day by day, year by year. This is a big game. After that Marseille defeat, I want us to win this game. I want us to go to Montjuic and prove the world who the best team in the world is. And humble some Barca fans. The delusional ones humbled them in a very sweet way. But yeah, I'm very excited for the game. The battle of the injuries is set to take place. Today's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Couple of days left. Hopefully, guys, have enjoyed this video. More Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, exciting content set to come to you with some tactical analysis and more content. That's been it from Boy PSG, and hopefully, guys, have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez, Paris.